Since our character is not necessarily the original one, we can also modify our movement logic to directly use the scale. So what we can do is we can split this struct pin, and we can go ahead and multiply this value over here. Oops, we should have taken it from the other side. So we can multiply this value. So I'm not sure which is the x and the y direction. So up is the x, so forward is basically x, so this is going to be y, and we can directly multiply this scale value, or we can even just plug this in rather. So we can just plug this in. So now if I were to go ahead and press play, so it's going in the opposite direction. So what we can do here is we can actually get the absolute value. Alright, so this should be correct. So we are able to move left and right with absolutely no problems. Alright, now we can do the same thing for up and down so that our movement is inclined correctly. So we can grab this value over here, and we can just go ahead and get the absolute value, and we can plug this into the x. Alright, now if I go ahead and press play, as you can see, the movement is perfectly inclined towards the direction that I want it to be. To display the points, we can head into our content and we can create a new UI folder, and in here we'll just go ahead and create a widget blueprint, and we can call this one HUD or whatever. So we can say BP underscore HUD, so heads up display, anything, doesn't matter. So that's totally your choice. Drag in a canvas panel or something, and we can just drag in some text. We'll make this one right aligned so that it's actually aligned to the right, and anchor it to the top right. So what we'll do is, for the default text, we are going to set it to score 0. So for now we can set it like that. So let's say we have a negative 256 for the position, and let's say we have 128 for the position. So I guess this is fair. Maybe make it slightly larger is what I would say. So position x can be negative 384, and position y can be 64. So that should be good for now. And alignment x can be 1 so that it's aligned to the right, and now we can make this negative 128, or negative 64 is probably better. Okay, now that we have this, we can increase the font size. So let's say we make this one 45. I guess that will be visible. We'll change the font later if required. For now, we'll just keep track of the score. And what we'll do is, on construct, we'll just we'll not actually do anything. We'll just have a custom event, and we'll call this one update score. Update score is something which we can call. Now over here we can have the new points, so new score, and we can just set the text brute force. So we can set text, we can use the format text function to format the text, and we'll say score colon with the actual points. So this should be good, and we can drag this in. So there's a simple update score function. So update score in HUD, let's say. Now we can do a bit of lazy coding over here. So we can just grab a reference to the HUD in the game mode itself. Usually I do not advise you actually do that. But in this case, since that's probably the only menu that's going to be there, and probably always going to be there on the screen, so it is totally fine. And it's probably good that we don't create and destroy widgets continuously. So under get references, what we can do is we can go ahead and first of all we can just create the widget here itself. So we can create widget. This one's going to be BP HUD. So this will be BP HUD. Usually I like to suffix it with WB to say it's a widget blueprint. So what you can do is you can say HUD widget blueprint. I'll just change the casing on that. So now if I compile this and add it to the viewport, over here itself I can go ahead and promote this to a variable. And what I can do is I can say HUD ref. We can drag this in. So this will remain valid for our entire game cycle. And once we have the HUD reference, every time we increment the points, so that will be over here, what we can do is we can grab our HUD reference and we can go ahead and update the score. So this will probably be the simplest way to update our score here. So if I go ahead and press play now, so as you see, our score is updating as expected. Another thing which you may notice already is that Pacman, as you move, is not actually hitting everything. So that's something we can fix, because right now capsule is the only thing that's colliding. So we can increase the capsule radius to be slightly larger than Pacman himself. So 64 maybe, right? And maybe we can scale up Pacman as well slightly, ever so slightly. So let's see how that goes. So what happens if I make this 1.2? So this does not seem to be causing a problem. So we'll see if there's any sort of scaling issues. We'll revert back to that. So right now that doesn't seem to be any problem. Now if I go ahead and press play, as you see, Pacman is actually grabbing in all of the coins. If we make it slightly bigger, it's probably for the better. So if we make this 70, let's say, or 75, that should be good. Let's go ahead and test it out. I basically want to see how it works in the corners and stuff. So if I hug any corner and go, I should still be able to pick up all the pellets. So that's basically my objective here. So I'm basically in a deadlock right now. I mean, in an actual game scenario, Pacman would have been out. So that's not going to occur in an actual game. So I guess now it's going to pick up all the pellets. Okay, so this works fairly well. Thanks to the magic of video editing, we have come to a point where I have these ghost models. Actually, I just used the built-in modeling tools. I just took one cube over here on the top, one cube in the middle, and I took one cube at the bottom, extruded it out, and just added the same outline material here. So I let you guys do it. Anyways, you can have a look at how I did it. So over here, you see I just have a particle effect over here. So this just exists in, I believe, engine, tutorial, sub editors, somewhere like that. You can go ahead and show engine content if you are not really able to see it. So make sure you do show engine content, and you can make something like this. As per the material, all I did is I just duplicated the outline and I just changed the color, and I applied it as the overlay material. So over here, if you head into the ghost, and if you were to go ahead and search for overlay, and if you head into mesh, not mesh, sorry, the static mesh which I added, so you can see that I have this outline material as my overlay material. One thing that I probably need to fix is the fact that this is wider than the actual model. So that's probably for the better, but let's make it proper size. So half height is something we can ignore for now. Let's say 50. So I'm not sure if it's correct. Another thing which I can probably do is I can go ahead and set this to overlap. So I can overlap, rather go to the collision and go ahead and overlap, or I could even say no collision, and the collision will be handled by the capsule anyways. So now if I were to take a look, that should be good. So I was thinking of making the main menu now, and I just downloaded this pack font. This looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and test it out. So I've downloaded it. Let's move it to our resource folder. So if I open it up, let's just extract this here. So I'll clear it up later on. So if I search for pack font, it should be here. I'm going to copy this over, and the date says 1998, but anyways, we can head in here and we can copy it into our extra files folder. And the font, let's create a new folder called fonts. I mean, we'll have only one, but just for organization purposes. So I'll just call it Pacman font. And now in here, under this folder itself, I'm just going to import it. If you wish, you can also go ahead and create a separate folder, but for me, I'll just go ahead and put it over here. So we have the font. So it has created the font asset as well as the font itself. Now, if we were to go ahead and change it, we should see that it uses this Pacman font. For this, it is not ideal, but for the main menu, we can go ahead and use it. So right click over here and create a new widget blueprint, and we'll call this one BP main menu. So this will be the main menu. BP main menu. We can set the background to be whatever, doesn't really matter. We could even just take a good view of this and just set that to be the background. We'll think about it. Go ahead and create a canvas panel. Of course, you can design the main menu however you want. And I'll just add some text over here, and I'll just call this play. We'll select the Pacman font. So I believe this is good enough. So what we'll do is we'll increase the size. So let's say about 100. Now we can put this inside a button. So put this inside a button. Alright. I'll have a background blur as well so that it looks good. So center align this. 0.5 as the anchors. Make the position 0 so that it is centered. And let's say we make it 500 or rather 600 by let's say 200. Then I can go ahead and put the text inside the button. We'll make the button black with some red border, so that's what we can do. So we'll make the button black. So I prefer having some rounded borders. So what we can do is we can search for radius over here. If you search for radius, outline, if I select half height radius and do the same for this as well, go ahead and do this. So we'll get a nice rounded button. And for the outline color itself, so what we can do is we can, so outline, we can go ahead and set the thickness to be let's say 5. And for the color we can set it to something like red, or we can make it oscillate. So we can do something like that. Anyways, so for now we'll set it to red. Go ahead and do the same thing over here. And even for pressed we can go ahead and set it to be red, or we can make this green when pressed, and when hovered we can set it to yellow. So totally up to you. Alright, now what we can do is we can add a background blur. So if I type in background blur, I'll be able to add it to this canvas panel. I'll move it above the button so that it blurs the background. Right, nothing seems to have changed, but if I go ahead and increase the blur strength to something like 10 or let's say 5, you'll see that it's going to apply the blur. Now what we can do is we can grab the anchors and set it to be full screen. Now it's occupying the entire screen. We can add an on pressed event to go ahead and start the game. Otherwise, we don't have an option to quit. Of course, why would you want to give your players an option to quit? So on begin play, instead of doing all this, we can go ahead and create the menu. So we can do it in the game mode itself since this is a single player game. So blueprints, head into your Pacman game mode. We'll create a custom event. and we can say create main menu. So we can reuse this once again when required. Just to ensure, we'll remove all widgets, and we'll go ahead and create widget. This time it'll be the main menu, and we'll go ahead and promote this to a variable and call it main menu ref, or we can call it main menu WB. WB is generally what I call widgets, so WB, and now we can go ahead and add it to the viewport. So we can go ahead and add it to the viewport. So that should in theory create our main menu. So now if I actually call it, that is, so upon begin play we can do that after we get all references and do all this before we start the round. So this will be the case. So we can go ahead and create main menu. Okay, now if I go ahead and press play, as you see, we have this main menu over here. I think the outline thickness is something we have to change over there. So over here we have outline thickness. Yeah, that is something which we probably have to change. So 5 and 5. Now if I were to press play, as you see, we get a nice Pacman themed play button. Of course, you can customize this. This is not that important. And another thing which I would like to do is when I create the main menu, I actually want to go ahead and set my view target to something else. So let's say for example we have it a little something like this. So we can duplicate this camera actor. So we can go ahead and Control D to duplicate. Now we can drag this camera actor 2 and we can pilot this again. So we can pilot camera actor 2 and we can grab a good view, a little something like this. So I guess this is a good view because this is subjective. So we'll go ahead and set it like this. We'll go ahead and exit our pilot. And for the actor tags, we can set the tags to main menu view. Main menu view. In order to view this, we can head back into the game mode. And over here, once we actually create the widget, we can set view target with blend. So set view target with blend. So we need a player controller reference. So get player controller. And we can go ahead and set view target with blend. Okay. So now, since we have this, the new view target is going to be our view. So under get references, we can get the reference to that as well. So we can get all actors with tag. Alright. So we can do this later on. Of course, this will come under the start game. So we'll do this later. So this will be main menu view. So main menu view. Make sure I spell that right. And we'll promote this to a variable and call this one main menu view camera. We can put this under a category called cameras. So we can say this is cameras. And we can drag the main menu view as well. So it's always good to have it categorized like that. So now in theory, we should go into the view. If we call it, that is. So under set view target with blend, we can go ahead and drag the camera. So this will be the main menu view. And if required, we can add a blend time so it looks good. So this looks nice. So I guess I'm pretty happy with this. So as soon as I hit play, we should be able to start the game. So that's how I want it to be. Now,